And again, it's not always easy. We absolutely have to let the ego down, have to let humility come in, and learn that the best way to move forward is to truly embrace learning from others as well.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Build Its Billions podcast, where we guide successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe that the key to scaling your business and compounding your wealth starts every single day with a mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal, to help you scale and compound your wealth and life so you can give more or all of it away to help MVPs. Hey, I'm your host today, Brett Swartz. In every episode, we feature some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires. They share their principles, values. Let's do that one over. I'm your host today, Brett Swartz. In every episode, we feature some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires. They share their principles, values, secrets, and wisdom, providing each of us with the insights we need to reach the next level of success, faith, and impact. Hey, I'm excited about our next guest. He is out of the great state of Maryland. He's an operations professional and entrepreneur driven by his curiosity. Curiosity is his superpower, and it has driven his personal and professional advancement. After law school, he put this curiosity to work launching and managing and improving operations for venture-backed startups to global nonprofits with impact. From there, nothing that curiosity can't help. Today, Jon Bassford is known for his curiosity-driven leadership, helping organizations, individuals innovate, change, and grow through adopting curiosity as their superpower. Please welcome to the show with me, Jon Bassford. Jon, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Great to have you. For our listeners, get to know you for the first time, would you give us just a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Sure. So, you said a lot there. So, I'm not sure where to fit in there, but I've spent my career in operations. I kind of learned that it fits my analytical nature and mind. And, although I'm not in that traditional path of someone who went to law school, but it's something I use every single day. And it went on to get my MBA as well. And just the combination of those two, educational background, as well as just my analytical nature and ability to be curious, to challenge the status quo, and to think what is possible as opposed to what we are currently doing, is how I've helped shape organizations, and have turned that into a consulting business that I've been running for the past 6 years.
Awesome. I love that. And, I think having an analytical mind and a curious mind together is I think of an amazing combo. So I'm curious, how did you develop that curiosity while also having the analytical mind? Did it come natural, or is it something you had to develop over the years?
No, both those are very natural to me. I was always that inquisitive kid, engaging in conversation with adults, learning and growing. Even as a young kid, challenging authority a little bit. Not that I was disrespectful or anything, but always kind of walked to the beat of my own drum a little bit. And I just came very natural to me. But I didn't really think about curiosity and how it drove my career until a colleague of mine introduced me to someone who's an expert, academic expert in helping people define their superpower. And after some meetings and some workshops, et cetera, he pinpointed curiosity as mine. And I actually didn't do much with that for a while. Then I was working with a branding company, and they kind of pinpointed curiosity as well. And so I've really been leaning into that, and really kind of look back to see how it shaped my life, my career.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think sometimes we overlook the superpower of ourselves because that's natural to us, right? So it's very natural for us to just think that, doesn't everyone have that curious mind? And the answer is no. I think even more so for the analytical mind. Now, I think analytical, there's something about analytical that's like very detailed, in the sense that you're curious about what's going on behind the scenes on the details, right? So there's a piece of that. But when I think curiosity, I also think of possibilities, right? Which is more of a macro thought on curiosity. I wonder if you could touch on that versus the micro curiosity.
Yeah. Part of what we really touch on is kind of moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, which, like you said, it's all about the possibility. It's about, not just accepting that, we're ourselves as individuals, as well as our companies and organizations, aren't just destined for one thing. We can continue to grow, continue to innovate, continue to change and evolve as we go along, and we can always be searching for new heights, and reaching new measures. So that absolutely ties into it 100%.
Awesome. So we're going to be talking about how curiosity can fuel your business growth. And by the way, if you want to learn and take action right now about everything that Jon Bassford is doing, you can go to think-lateral.com, think-lateral.com. And Jon is spelled Jon, and Bassford is spelled Bassford. So what is the number one secret, Jon, to letting curiosity help you to fuel your business growth?
Yeah, I think for one, a lot of people, it's kind of letting the ego down a little bit. We as leaders have raised up and got to the point we are because of the great things we've done or the great ideas we've had, and it takes a little bit of a little humility to say, hey, look, there could be more out there. We have to open up our mindset and look for new ways, new avenues, as well as help bring along the people with us, building a culture around curiosity, allowing for feedback and pushback even at times, and really create a dynamic that allows for the free flow of ideas to come through. And through that, you're constantly looking ways to improve your operations, the efficiency, the effectiveness. Every aspect of your business should always be something that you're looking at to see how we can improve it.
Okay, I love that. I want to kind of maybe also dive into this a little bit here on the mindset. You talked about letting your ego down, and I think about a humble mindset or just having humility. I also think about stewardship over ownership. I think as entrepreneurs or business owners, oftentimes we're the one who launched it, or who maybe thought of it, or blood, sweat, and tears to get it to a certain point. And now it's like it's the baby, right? And it's the baby's growing up, the baby's expanding and growing, and now it's like, wow, do I hold on to the control, right? And have to feel like I have to be the person to do the thing, or do I let that go? And do I say, how do I be a good steward of what this has now become, right? And so talk about the mindset of stewardship over ownership, and helping entrepreneurs to let go and let the new team or the new group have the ideas or have the new concepts to move it forward.
Yeah, I got actually a great story for that. There was a CEO I worked with, and he had founded the organization. At this point, it was 27, 28 years prior to that, but it had seen some better days, and it was in the red for a couple of years. And he was known for the saying, "We were founded the same year as Amazon. Why aren't we Amazon?" And working together, I pitched to him that they were missing the mark on some content. It was a younger audience, younger customers, and video content really is king for that audience. And I had suggested that we had a competitor had popped up and was beating us, and mainly in that area. And I had suggested that we adopt more of a video strategy for our content. And his words to me were, "That's not what I had envisioned when I founded this organization 27 years ago." And I was like, "You mean before Instagram, before TikTok, before YouTube, you hadn't envisioned this is going to be the primary market of engagement with young people?" So I mean, it just kind of really goes to show, right, that he was a great entrepreneur, he was a serial entrepreneur, built a lot of great businesses, but there's a certain point where we kind of get stuck, right? We get stuck into our view, our ideas, but being able to foster something beyond that. Where you look at Amazon, Amazon's one of their biggest money makers is AWS. They didn't come out to set like we're going to become the world's biggest cloud computing storage space. They were trying to build internal infrastructure for themselves and said, "Hey, there is a model for this beyond that." And, right? So just the constant ability to say, "What could we doing? What could we be doing better? What could we be doing more of?" And again, it's not always easy. We absolutely have to let the ego down, have to let humility come in, and learn that the best way to move forward is to truly embrace learning from others as well.
Okay, perfect. So that's the first thing: humility, mindset, curiosity. Starting there. So, what's the number two secret to how to let curiosity fuel your business growth?
Yeah, it's really taking a look at operational excellence. Really doing a deep dive into your business. There's so many things. A great example I like to give about this is Fisker, right? The car company that is in bankruptcy, in the toilet. And one thing that came out during the bankruptcy, and they were looking at acquisitions, was they were literally shipping cars to people without accepting the payment first. I mean, that's an operational breakdown. We're not talking about sending some staplers or some paper or a T-shirt, right? We're talking about a $60,000 vehicle that's being shipped out prior to accepting the payment. And that's just a complete breakdown in operations. And sure, that's an extreme case. But we always got to be looking at our operations and what we are doing on a day-to-day basis driving the results we intended. And that's what I really look at for operational excellence, right? Is are we in doing the things in the right way to drive the intended results?
Okay. And with that, what roles are crucial for this to make sure that, because the entrepreneurs maybe wearing many hats,
Mhm.
and then there's the fire to put out for operation, and they put out the fire over here. Then there's the content to create over here, and they're doing this over here, and all the different. So what is like, hey, when you're going to this operational excellence, I guess audit, maybe you would call it, right? What are you looking for, and what are the steps to put that next role or piece in place to get this going in the right direction?
Yeah, so our process, it really involves four different pieces to this, four different audits, if you will. We're looking at the organization identity and like decision making alignment. Is the executives aligned in how they view the organization? Part of it's kind of looking at the old model of traditionalist versus futurist, but we go deeper than that. We also are looking at the capacity for change. Are you adaptable? Can you change? And then we're looking at the full maturity of the organization. We're looking at everything from your accounting, your HR practices to your marketing and everything in between. And we're taking a full deep dive in the organization. I think that's something that most organizations never do, right? They tend to, they know there's a problem, they fix the problem, but they don't do that analysis to deep dive and to truly lift the hood and look at all the parts of the car and say, this even though it's not leaking fuel yet or fluid, there's something going on here, and we need to fix this. And we fix these few areas, we can grow. Then, of course, looking to make sure that the efficiency of your organization and your compliance, to make sure that you're avoiding any issues from the IRS or anything else, is always important as well.
Okay, that makes sense, right? So if it starts with humility, right, and then it starts with a goal and a vision of operational excellence, and then it's like, hey, let's do an audit of what's actually happening, and let's be open to see and curious enough to see if there's a better way. Is that a fair summary so far?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So what would be the next step on using curiosity to make sure to have it be the fuel to business growth?
Yeah, the next step is bringing everybody with you, right? Unless you are the leader of a one-man band, one-person band, having a growth mindset yourself and doing this work to analyze the operations isn't enough. You've got to bring the team with you. And the best way to do that is to create a curious culture that allows for innovation, allows for growth, allows for change, allows for people to question things. One of the examples I like to give, which I believe Simon Sinek is also using this, so I guess I got to give him credit for it. Is like having leaders speak last. We're in a meeting and we want to know people's opinion. What do we do first? We give our opinion. And every CEO, every owner, when they do that, they have just moved that entire conversation to how they saw that, how they saw the problem, how they saw the solution, whatever it may be. And just learning to speak last and learning to truly embrace curiosity from others. And Google actually did a study a number of years back trying to pinpoint what it is that creates the most successful teams. They had their theories and hypothesis on this, but what ended up coming back was psychological safety. And the notion of that is, do your people feel that they work in a place to where they can speak up, they can give ideas, they can point out problems and raise solutions, and that's really kind of the backbone of creating a curious culture.
I love that. Speaking with Jon Bassford, by the way, everyone can go to his website, think-lateral.com, think-lateral.com. What comes to mind is be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. Okay. I've been studying this over the weekend here. Pastor was teaching on this is in James in the Bible. And the idea here is, as leaders, right? The faster we are to speak or to say the thing, not only could it be in the wrong order in the wrong time, but also you're right. It's if we're trying to build other leaders, because everything rises and falls on leadership, and if you're the bottleneck to the leader, if you're always coming with the answers, guess what? You're stifling the opportunity for those other leaders to grow and to step into that, and to have what I call certainty of conviction, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that they know what they know, that they know this is the right way to go do the thing. Why? Because they've had the reps in place to solve the problems. But if you're always solving the problem for them, then their leadership is going to be stifled. Is that a fair summary, John?
That's a great way to look at it. Another way too is, I've worked with a lot of different CEOs who get it wrong. They think they're creating an innovative culture, driven results and metrics and dropping the hammer on people when they make mistakes. And actually, what it does is create the opposite of innovation. Is because what it does is teach people to keep your head down, do as little as possible, don't stick your neck out, and that's the best way to keep your job. Where if you create that empathy, create that psychological safety, it opens up the opportunity to learn from each other. Because today's organizations, we're not siloed, right? We're not in a factory building one part all day long. We are touching every department in many different ways. Small organizations are flatter. There isn't the hierarchy there, and so we really got to learn to embrace that commonality of reaching across the aisle, reaching up and down the ladder, to really share and express ideas.
I can't agree with you more. By the way, a thought comes to mind, and it's by a book by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, and he talks about the art of negotiation, and he talks about creating empathy. Right? It's not. He says it's mostly through, and safety is through mirroring and labeling. Right? Mirroring and labeling. You may start with the question, but sometimes as the leader, I got to know it too, because I'm a hard driving A personality, right? And I have to really slow down and tone it down, because the level of intensity, I don't mean to be, I mean, I'm relaxed, but it just comes across for others that like, oh my gosh, this is really intense, right? Even probably right now as I'm talking, right? It's like, and I try, it's like, I have to like, not even say the certain things. And then my wife she can say, she is so opposite personality and complimenting gifts. She could say the same thing, but it's going to come across totally safe, right? And so my point of this is how I've learned to try to tone it down, but also to still engage, is what's called through mirroring and labeling, where you're going to mirror what someone just said, a couple of the words or a couple of the thoughts, right? It could be the last few words or just the general thought. And then you're going to label some kind of emotion, right? Which helps to connect and to actually release the tension of basically of your emotional state of your brain, to be able to connect with somebody. And so it might go something like, oh, so it sounds like, leaders speak last. And John would say, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I would say, hey, it feels like when leaders speak last, it gives the opportunity for the team member to feel empowered. And you would say, yeah. And so these are the things that I try to practice, and I share that because this book has been like, really the masterclass inside of It's called Masterclass App, The Art of Negotiation. If you haven't read it as a leader or as a communicator, like, please do yourself a favor and can get that masterclass. It's like $170 a year, but you have like Coach K, you have people like Mark Cuban, you have people like top coaches and authors and speakers. It's masterful. Anyways, sorry, John, that was a little stag tangent, but any thoughts on that?
No, absolutely, 100%. A lot of times it can, seem hard, right? Seem daunting to create this environment to allow people to express their ideas and be empathetic. And really, one of the easiest ways to lay the foundation is to just get to know your staff. And I don't mean superficially over the pizza party or the coffee hour, but truly get to know your staff. What makes them tick? What makes them excited to come to work in the morning? What makes them excited to get going in the day? Where their passions exist and live, and where they want to go in their life, right? Just laying the groundwork that way goes a long way in be able to communicate with more empathy and relatable to your individuals. And it's a very, very simple thing. I think sometimes people see this as a kind of a new age issue where, because people only want to do what they want to do and don't want to do all the hard work. They want to do the fun work. And I'm actually reminded of Carnegie and Napoleon Hill, right? One of the books that came out of an interview they did where they were talking about this. And if you can flip it from your staff doing 90% what they hate, 10% what they love, to 90% what they love and 10% what they tolerate to have the job, how much more will they get done? How much more excited to be at work and to not make mistakes and move forward. So this is, sometimes I think it's a bad rap with generational talks, but it's been something that's been around for centuries, right? And just getting to know your staff and tapping into their desires, wishes, goals, ambitions, and utilize that to your best of your abilities.
I love that, right? Steve Jobs has a quote: "I can teach you anything, but I can't teach you to care."
Mhm.
Right. And so as a leader, right, you know what John is saying, I believe what you're saying, John, it sounds like you're teaching people to care and to be empathetic and to connect with their team members. I want to move to another piece of it versus, the fire, the intense, fire drill that a business owner might put their team members through versus intentional meetings. So talk about, the cadence of meetings with operations and with teams and the importance of that and what that looks like to implement for a business owner who's like, I have some meetings, but what are some of the keystone ones that you would say, and what's a decent rhythm for a weekly basis for an entrepreneur or business owner?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things, for the content of the meeting, is really hammering home that psychological safety. I think that's something that we often miss, right? We come into it very, very informationally. Here's what we have to deliver. Here's what we expect from you guys this week. And instead, bring down the tone a little bit. You talked about that a little bit, right? Bring down the tone, soften the tone, make it more of a psychologically safe area. So that's the key right there. Is just don't come in guns blazing, making about information, but making it about the culture of the organization, showing them your intentions, showing them what you have in mind and why you're doing something a certain way. Really, really talk about the why, right? Again, talking about Simon Sinek, is talk about the why we're doing something and reminding the team that they are an essential part to helping that be delivered. That again, I think that's what's often missed in meetings. I've had many discussions about the cadence of meetings and how many and how long and all that sort of thing. And for me, it's really comes down to just making sure that you're having those high level conversations for the entire staff, so they know which way the boat is rowing and how fast and why, and what direction we're headed. And then then you have your smaller teams that should meet and go over the details and collaborate and a fun exercise to even do is tackle problems by asking only questions. I actually did this with an organization on a culture workshop recently, and they were very, very skeptical when we first started this. But they actually pinpointed a lot of things that they needed to work on and improve by just going around the room and everyone is asking questions. And it's a great way to get kind of soften the mood, and really get to the bottom of what it is we're trying to solve. And I think that's what the meeting should be about.
Okay, this is so good. So much. I was taking tons of notes there. So let's start. We're kind of reversing, work our way back. So ask only questions. I grew up playing basketball, and one of the drills that our coach would do is we could only pass. You couldn't dribble or shoot, or I mean, you could shoot if you got a layup, but basically you could only pass. So it was just you couldn't move basically, and so you're passing, passing, passing. I mean, you can move once you pass, right? But it was like a good rhythm to get people out of the just dribble, 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 and they're like, you just stagnate and you hurt the whole rhythm. So if I'm hearing you, it sounds like, John, by asking only questions or practicing this, maybe it's a 30-minute segment. Like, hey, we're only going to ask questions, and that's it. And everyone just keep asking questions. It's going to get people in the rhythm of not maybe speaking so fast. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's about again thinking about not just the problem with creating a curious culture is we love what we are. We love what we're doing. We have ego in what we're doing. This is what we thought of. But the questions breaks down to, have we thought about this? Right? It bring because it's an exercise and everyone's expected to do it, including the leaders. It brings down any judgment. I forget. There's a Oh, Ted Lasso. I had a brain fart there. Ted Lasso, in one of his famous talks, said, "Be curious, not judgmental." Right? And these exercises allow us to be curious, to question what we're doing, but in a very, very soft way that brings down the mood, brings down the tone, and really lets us challenge anything and everything that we're trying to solve.
Oh, so good. By the way, again, Jon, and Bassford. You can learn more about him by going to think-lateral.com, think-lateral.com. Um, okay, this is awesome. What have I asked you so far, Jon, that I should be asking you, that you're like, oh man, if they only knew this about curiosity and the way that it would fuel their business growth, here is one other, golden nugget that you could share with us right now.
Yeah, I'd say that the biggest piece of all this is that, again, some people being curious, being analytical is a lot more intuitive and natural, but anyone can do some simple steps. Again, we kind of talked about a few, right? Those exercises of just asking questions and learning to let your staff speak first. There are so many simple tools that can be done. And obviously, I'm a little biased here as an operations consultant, but a lot of times it's necessary to bring someone in from the outside. Because we do have our biases, we have our blind spots, we have our egos, right? And sometimes one of the best ways to just uncover everything and lift the hood and look at everything underneath the hood is really truly bringing someone in from the outside who doesn't have blind spots, has a fresh set of eyes. Another great example I like to talk about is utilizing the new person. Right. Every time you hire someone new, there's a fresh set of eyes, and we all know how we feel when someone asks, what does anyone think, and the new person speaks, right? Like, why the hell are you speaking? You've been here for 2 minutes. You don't know what we do. You don't know anything. But the reality is they're the best ones to speak because they're not bogged down in the traditions and the status quo and in the culture of the organization. That they can bring truly fresh ideas. And so, just tapping into little things like that. If when I'm hiring new employees, I'm going to spend one hour with them every single week, asking them what they're doing, what they see working right, what they see working wrong, and really tap into that fresh set of eyes. And you have an opportunity every single time you hire someone new.
Wow, that's good, solid steps and wisdom, everybody. Leaders speak last, staff or team members speak first, asking only questions, exercises, and then bringing someone from the outside to give you a fresh look under the hood here, as well as new hires, 1 hour per week of just, hey, what's working? What do you like? What don't you like? What are you curious about? Like, just simply practicing these things can help you use curiosity to fuel your business growth. You want to check out how to do this and bring someone from the outside. Guess who's available? It is Mr. Jon Bassford with his team of Lateral Solutions. Think-lateral.com, think-lateral.com. Okay, so this is really, really neat. Loving all this, by the way. Ted Lasso, watching it again for, I think, the second time now, my wife and I. Okay, and by the way, if you folks, if you haven't seen this show yet, it's one of the all-time greatest shows. Okay, and it's just a little sneak peek. It's about a American football coach who goes to England to coach a soccer coach or traditional football coach, football team. Okay, and it's absolutely incredible. Like, just so many levels, like life and love and funny and sadness, and it does every area. And there's so much wisdom in the show. Anyways, Ted Lasso, check it out, everybody. That being said, Mr. Jon, let me shift a little bit. Part of our show, if it's okay, we go into a little bit about, once you build the thing, right? How do you exit the thing in a way that helps to multiply the freedom and impact for clients? Or at a certain point, you've built operationally to a point where you've scaled and it's time to harvest this exit. And so one of the things that we focus on a laser on is what's called capital gains tax exit planning. Right. And every single exit is somewhere between 20 and 50% is going to be crushed by that capital gains tax and depreciation recapture. And so you might build up a business for 10, 20, 30 years, just know that, oh my gosh, the partner of New York or New Jersey or California was, 30, 40, 50% the entire time. Wow. Now you probably knew that in the back of your mind, but you go towards this sale and this big exit. Anyway, so long story short, huge capital gains taxes. I'm curious, what would be an approach if someone said to you, hey, Jon, I'm still in business for 10, 20, 30 million bucks. You help me to build it all the way up, but now I got this huge capital gains tax. How do you help them approach a mindset of what's possible for that?
Sure. Look, the goal here is always to sell it for as much as possible, right? To maximize your return. And obviously, unfortunately, how taxes work, the bigger the return, the bigger the tax. But for me, it's all about building this up and creating a business that is operationally sound. If you want to have the biggest exit for your company, it's got to be a well-oiled machine. Because if someone's coming in knowing they have to fix their operations, that is going to be represented in the price. And again, that's one of the great things that our audits can be used for, both on the front end and back end. People looking to see where they stand, where can they make some quick improvements, where can they increase their bottom line, create some efficiencies, drop some overhead costs, right, and really pad that bottom line, is a great thing to be doing, all throughout your business, but right, especially when you're kind of hitting those end times of wanting to exit the business and maximize that return is really get your operation sound and improve that bottom line.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Yep. And if people want to learn more about how to go about exiting and building a capital gains tax exit plan after you've built a well-oiled machine, you go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We'll help you to build in 5 hours and have an extra 20, 30, 40, 50% more at your close of escrow, business, Bitcoin, real estate, any asset of any kind. In fact, we just helped a client. He sold an automotive business out of Massachusetts. It was about an $8 million exit. He had about $2.5 million capital gains tax liability. And so, instead of paying all that tax, he's able to defer all of that. We had to set it up before close of escrow. And now what's really neat about the business is that all of that capital can go to work for him and produce passive cash flow. And so he can retire, he can diversify, and he's a younger entrepreneur. He's going to start another business, and some of the capital is going to go towards that eventually as well. But the idea here is make sure you're being efficient with your capital gains tax exit plan, as efficient as you are with your current business you're holding, because again, you want to make sure you're maximizing that exit and having an extra 20, 30, 40, 50% working for you. Go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That being said, John, we're running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
I am.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what's the one gold nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
I would start working for myself earlier on. When I first started consulting and just realized, how much kind of time is wasted sometimes working in organizations. I would have branched out on my own a lot quicker. Started, testing some business strategies on the side, instead of working, 60, 80 hours for a week for a job that was paying me 45 grand a year. Build my side business, right? That's what I would go back and do if I were in my early 20s.
Right on. Top book you've recommended the most in the past year?
Soul Without Shame. It's a great book about mindset and understanding how we can be confident and secure, but also have self-doubt. And it was a book that changed my life.
Awesome. Soul Without Shame. Top way that you use Chat GPT?
I use it a lot for summary of calls.
Perfect. Next question. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
I'll go back to the Ted Lasso quote. Be curious, not judgmental. I think it's a great way for leadership in life.
Awesome. Next question. And it's, I forgot the next question, so I'm going to go to the last question. Last question. After all your success, John, helping all the people you've helped, what is the number one way that you best stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to reach even higher heights?
Sure. For me, it's all about, harnessing my superpower of curiosity, right? And how can I best help other organizations? And again, I'm constantly curious about my business, right? How can I change my services or tweak my services so that I can help more organizations? When I first started, I was doing fractional COO work, which had a ceiling. And switching to these audits and the coaching has allowed me to bring on a lot more clients and help more organizations grow. And that's what I'm constantly focused on.
Awesome. Hey, Jon Bassford, it's been more than a pleasure to get to know you. I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom, sharing your insight, inspiration with us. I want to encourage you to keep using your curiosity superpower and your analytical mind to help people have a growth mindset and also fuel their business growth, right? With operations, so important. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, what's the best place for them to find you?
The best way is just go to the website, www.think-lateral.com, and send me a message there, and I'll respond ASAP.
Amazing. Thanks, Jon. I also want to thank all of our listeners for listening to an episode of the Build It to Billions podcast. We're also streaming on Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast and YouTube channel as well. And we're here. We're here with you, right? As successful entrepreneurs ourselves and investors, we're on this journey from millions to billions, right? We believe that the key to scaling your business and compounding your wealth starts every single day with a mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles, and also working with groups like Jon who can help you scale your operations and make them a well-oiled machine. And our ultimate goal is to help you scale and compound your wealth and life so you can give more or all of it away. If and when you do exit your highly appreciated asset, I want you to make sure that you're checking out a capital gains tax exit plan by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We also have a book that we wrote on it called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. You can get that on Amazon. We have people like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank in the book, and people like Tyler McBroom, who is a CPA for Tony Robbins. Pretty cool. Check that out on Amazon. And with that being said, please rate, review, subscribe, share this with someone who can be inspiring and helpful to today. And we will talk to everyone again real soon. Bye, everybody.
We'll be right back.